Okay, so now we're going to make the bottom box for our birthday card organizer. You're going to need a sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock in your choice of colors. We're going to insert it into our scoreboard, and the first score we're going to make is going to be at 2.5. The next score we're going to make is going to be at 8.5. Now we're going to turn our cardstock to the 8.5 inch side. We're going to score again at 2.5. Then at 7. Now what you want to do is, holding your paper at the 11-inch side, you're going to score the bottom score lines up to the top score. So you're going to simply cut in on those lines. Now, we're going to get to the part of assembling it. If you decide that you want this piece to just be one piece, then now is the time to decorate it before assembling it. On this particular project, we are going to make stamped panels. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble that now. So we want to just fold on our score lines, making nice crisp marks. You will notice that there is a piece, which is going to be your back piece, that is a bit shorter. Now, the reason for this is because I'm using only 8.5 by 11. I could certainly have used, you know, a 12 by 12 piece and then cut it down. But because my templates all use 8.5 by 11, I wanted to come up with a template that we could continue to utilize with just 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Because I know a lot of us don't have every color in 12 by 12, or our favorite cardstocks don't come in 12 by 12. I know I love my paper tray cardstock, and it doesn't come in 12 by 12. And I'm not a scrapper, so I really don't want to invest in 12 by 12. Okay, so we put our adhesive on the end panels, and we're going to fold in. Now, obviously, this back piece is going to be a bit bigger up top, and that's okay because it's going to get covered. And by doing what we're going to do, it also makes it much more sturdy. So there's our front pieces. Oh, and I cut my line a little bit crooked, trying to make sure that you could see it on the camera. Let me fix that. Oh, I can't seem to. There we go. Whoops. Perfect. Okay. Sorry, I have to have this still nice, even though I'm trying to show you what we're doing. Okay, so this is what you have for your birthday box bottom. Okay, now our box base is done. We're going to work on the backing. You're going to take a sheet of Raspberry Fizz cardstock, or cardstock in whatever color you wish, and we're going to cut it 6 by 11. You're going to put it into your scoreboard and score it at 5.5. Simply fold it in half, and through the magic television, I already have a piece that I decided to simply round my corners. Okay, so now you're just going to take, and let me turn it this way so you can see it, that unsightly side, insert your piece of cardstock, just pop it all the way to the bottom, just like that, and you're just wrapping it around, and that covers the fact that this was not the same size in the back, and it also makes it more sturdy to sit on a desk and hold your cards. Now, what we're going to do is set this aside, and we're going to get started on our panels. Okay, so now we've gathered our supplies and it's time to stamp our border pieces. I'm just going to do one for the sake of the video, and you can obviously stamp all three, or you could do one however you like it. So I'm going to be using my basic gray ink from Stampin' Up! And one of my old favorite sets called Butterfly of Happiness. I don't get to use it that often, and I figured now would be a perfect time. So I'm going to randomly stamp my butterflies across my cardstock, obviously in just a random pattern because there is no real, right or wrong here. I'm going to randomly stamp my flowers as well. And I don't want to overdo it. I'm going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to use magenta shimmers. If you've never tried shimmers before, they're really beautiful. And this magenta color matches the Raspberry Fizz cardstock really nicely. So what I'm doing is I'm going to sloppily paint in areas of my butterfly. I don't want to be too perfect because the style of this particular butterfly is very whimsical. So I just want to add little hints of pink. And then where I want it dark, I'll go over again. Now, I always shake my shimmers, and then I just use whatever's in the lid because you don't want to really clump on anything. You just want it to be like a nice, light, even coat. That old saying, a little bit goes a long way, is definitely true. Shimmers are beautiful, and they add a really nice little sparkle to your project without, layering on the bling. Spritz our cardstock with our color spritzer. So I just take a Stampin' Up! Marker and my color spritzer, insert it, and then just go to town. Make sure you have things out of the way that you don't want to get colored. You don't need a lot to get a nice effect. This just takes up some of the white without overdoing it. Okay, so now we've had all our panels stamped and mounted onto our box. I went ahead and took it a step further, and if you can see in the video, I added some little flower-shaped rhinestones to the center of my flowers. That's just a little something extra that I thought would spice it up a little bit. Now the next step's going to be to wrap some ribbon around the top edge. I think that adds a nice finished touch. So I measured around my box and cut some Raspberry Fizz striped, or I should say stitched grosgrain. I also had some gray polka dot ribbon that I got at Michael's, so I'm going to use that too. I'm going to put this aside. Now what I like to do when I'm layering two ribbons to make it easier, I kind of layer them on top of each other. I find my middle, and then I'll add a little bit of adhesive. Now you really can't see it, and it helps you have the pieces stay together when you're wrapping it around your project. Now you don't need to do this all the way around, just in the middle. See, I think that makes such a nice, pretty, patterned ribbon. Okay, so you start at the back of your box. Don't worry about placement. The goal is to just get it tied, and you can straighten it once it's around. If you want, you can now insert your envelopes. And this will give you a good idea of how cute these colors really are together as a color combo. Isn't that beautiful?